Calvin, a divorced advertising executive, is struggling to connect with his young son, Charlie. When Charlie comes to spend Christmas Eve with Scott, tensions arise. Scott's ex-wife Laura and her new husband Neil are skeptical of Scott's ability to create a meaningful holiday experience for Charlie. Charlie also seems hesitant, given Scott's work-focused, often self-absorbed nature. Despite their rocky relationship, Scott tries to make the best of the situation. At night, Charlie is awakened by a noise on the roof. Scott, assuming it's an intruder, rushes outside to investigate. To his shock, he finds a man dressed as Santa Claus, who slips and falls off the roof after being startled by Scott. The mysterious figure vanishes, leaving behind a red suit, a business card with instructions to put on the suit if something happens to Santa, and a sleigh with reindeer waiting nearby. Against his better judgment and Charlie's urging, Scott dons the suit and is whisked away in the sleigh, inadvertently stepping into Santa's role. Scott and Charlie travel from house to house delivering presents, with Scott bumbling through the job. Eventually, the sleigh takes them to the North Pole, where they meet Bernard, the head elf. Bernard explains that by putting on the suit, Scott has activated the Santa Claus, a magical contract binding him to become the new Santa Claus. Confused and overwhelmed, Scott dismisses the whole thing as a dream, but Bernard warns him that his transformation into Santa is inevitable. Charlie, however, is delighted by the experience and starts to believe his dad is the real Santa Claus. Think of all the gifts he's gotten. Anthony's Bassano tucked away in a basket. Does he feel any love for his family in his usual way? The next morning, Scott wakes up at home, convinced it was all a strange dream. But over the following months, odd changes begin to occur. Scott gains a significant amount of weight, despite dieting, grows a thick white beard that instantly reappears when shaved. He also finds himself instinctively knowing who's been naughty or nice. These changes alarm his co-workers and perplex his doctor, who finds nothing medically wrong with him. Meanwhile, Charlie becomes more insistent that Scott is Santa Claus, sharing their experience at the North Pole with others. Laura and Neil grow increasingly concerned, believing Scott is feeding Charlie delusions that could harm him emotionally. Scott's bizarre behavior leads to a custody dispute, and Laura and Neil petition to have Scott's visitation rights suspended. Heartbroken, Scott reluctantly agrees to stay away from Charlie. However, on Christmas Eve, Bernard and the other elves summon Scott back to the North Pole to prepare for his first official Christmas as Santa. Charlie secretly joins him, thrilled to be part of the adventure, until he welcomes them to the suite. When Scott and Charlie begin delivering presents, Neil and Laura panic upon discovering Charlie is missing. They call the police, who issue a warrant for Scott's arrest. During a stop on their delivery route, Scott is apprehended by the police and taken into custody. Charlie, determined to help his father, enlists the assistance of the elves, who launch a daring rescue mission. Using their magical tools, the elves break Scott out of jail, allowing him to resume his Christmas duties. In the end, Laura and Neil witness Scott's transformation into Santa and finally believe in him. Touched by the magic of Christmas and Scott's devotion to Charlie, Laura burns the court papers restricting Scott's visitation rights, allowing Charlie to visit him at the North Pole.